Hi, this is Lindsay. Welcome back to my channel. So today is going to just be like a Q&A video. I've been planning this for a while and just have not had time to get to it. So I'm going to do it now. I have 8 different questions that I chose. So I thought I would just answer these 8 different questions. They're not all of them, but I didn't want this video to be too terrible long. And so I thought that I would work on this journal kit while I am answering the questions. And this is my newest kit, Lavender and Lace. My previous video was just showing a flip through, but I'm just going to start prepping it for a journal. I don't know when I'll get the journal done, but little steps, little steps. So let's start off with the first question. And somebody asked, how many papers or pages do you put into a signature? And that's a good question, but it's not an easy one to answer because a signature is a group of pages. Like right now, folding these in half, I'm going to be making a signature. It's like a little booklet that you sew into the cover. And a book may have one signature or multiple signatures. My rule of thumb is between 10 and 20 pages normally. So my traveler's notebooks, I often just do 10 pages folded in half, which gives you 40 sides. That's a very thin traveler's notebook. It doesn't take up too much space. I would say a good middle of the road would be 15. I usually do that. That makes 60 pages, 60 sides. I usually do that for my normal size journals. And if I'm trying to make them chunky, I do 20, which is 80. Now, I do a lot of just one signature journals, but if I am doing a really fancy journal, I may do like 6 or 8 pages in a signature and then do a whole bunch of signatures to add a lot of stitching, and there's a lot of room to bulk up a journal that way. But see, it's not an easy answer. It's however many pages you want and whatever's easy enough for you to sew in. But I just recommend that if you are new, that you start with between 10 and 15. So let me finish these 2 pages here and we'll count, and I'll actually put together a little signature for you here so you can see. If you want to purchase this particular journal kit that I'm working with right now, just click my shop link below and you can purchase it either printed or digitally. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This kit comes with 12 journal pages. It is a perfect signature and there's no right or wrong way. You just put the pages inside each other like so, and you create a signature. So I'm just going to do, this 12 pages. It works absolutely perfect to create one signature. So here we go. There's our signature. That is a signature. So 12 pages is great to start with. Okay, so the next Q&A question I got is, why would you want a junk journal and how would you use it? So I do think that that is an incredible question, because if you're new to journals, it's like, why would you want, something that expensive, something that takes that much time if you don't, what do you do with it? So I think there's as many right answers for that as, the other question, but I'm just going to talk about for me personally. I want a junk journal because I love the visual aspect of it. I love how it is so beautiful and relaxing to look at, that it is totally unique and different. You will never find 2 exactly the same. And so that's what I love about it. And then what would you do with it? If you see, let's see, 2 videos back, I have a personal junk journal flip through and you can see ideas of how I used a junk journal. But what would you do with it? There's so many different things. You can write to your to-do lists in it. You can use it as a daily, like, Dear Diary type journal. You can use it as a memory scrapbook. You can, like, glue pictures in it. You can, write poems in it. You can, I like to just do everything in it. I don't just do one thing. I like to put quotes in there and Bible verses and recipes and just the little things that you pick up day to day, like movie tickets and packaging from some of your favorite snacks or teas or coffees, or, you know, junk mail that came in the mail that has really pretty packaging, or something that you might want to look at a future day. So there's so many different things that you can do with junk journals. I really think there aren't enough completed junk journals that are shown off. There's a few people who do it, but I hear a lot of people say they want to see more finished journals. So if you have a journal that you have finished some pages in and you would like to share some pictures or a video, please go over to my Facebook group. That will be listed below in the description box, and share with us what you do with the junk journal, because I would absolutely love to see it, and I'm sure everyone else would as well. So the next question is number 3. Different ways of making a journal cover. That is obviously too long of a question to answer in a video like this, but I can give the really simple answer. And the really simple answer is there's a few main ways, and the way that I normally do it is just a soft cover journal. So you use cardstock or cardstock in fabric, or like wallpaper, or something like that, folded in half just to make a cover, kind of like a pamphlet type book or something like that. And that is my favorite way. It's simple, it's easy, but it's nice and portable. And then you can repurpose old book covers and then sew new signatures into them, or you can create your own card cover, you know, create your own spine, create your own, and all of those, you know, there's tutorials on my channel and on many other channels on how to do that. But those are the 3, I feel those are the 3 main ways. There's soft cover, repurposed hard cover, or hard cover from scratch. And there's lots of variations of each of those, but that's my short answer. The next question, number 4, is where do you get your ink pads and different ways to use them? Well, I actually don't mind super cheap ink pads. I had actually bought some that were crazy cheap, and I'm still using some of them like almost 2 years later. I do like the distress inks because you can like blend with them, and there's a lot of beautiful colors. But they're expensive. They're really not necessary. Honestly, Hobby Lobby Stampabilities, or like Colorbox, Colorbox or whatever it is. I think that might be a Michaels. I'm not sure, but whatever the cheapest ink is probably fine. If you don't have a lot of money to buy ink pads, I suggest you get a brown and a black, because that will take you pretty far. If you can get 1 or 2 other colors, then maybe like a green and a pink. Those are just, they tend to go with a lot of different journal themes. So that's just my suggestion. Blue and yellow are wonderful to have as well, but if you can only afford a couple, green goes with a lot of nature themed, brown goes with almost any journal. So those are 2 great ones to get. And then how do I use them? Well, of course, you can just use like a rubber stamp or a cling stamp and stamp like stamps onto your journal pages or ephemera, or you can ink the edges, and I do that in lots of videos. You just take your ink pad, I wish I had an ink pad in here with me, but I don't, and you either use one of the dauber sponges to go around the edges, or I pick up the ink pad and just brush it along the edges to kind of give it a finished vintage look. Or I guess if I'm doing pink on it, it doesn't really look vintage, but it's just kind of like a finished blended look. Those are the 2 main ways that I use ink pads. All right, so question number 5. How do you have your camera set up? How do you know when you're not in frame? Well, this is one of those like Walmart rolling island tables. It's really old. It was falling apart, so I repurposed it. If you can see this little block of wood back here, there's a clamp. I'm going to take this camera off so I can show you. So there, it's dark outside. But here is, I have a light set up here, and if I need extra light, I have this little ring light. It doesn't put out much, but it is part of this stand. I got this on Amazon, and I just put my phone into the stand, so I'm looking down here at that, and then I have another light over on this side, and I can tell I'm not in frame because I'm looking at the camera most of the time. Like, I'm watching myself in the camera as I work. That way I know I'm in frame. If I can't really do that, then I just kind of know I can stay within a certain amount of area, and as long as I'm working within that, then I know that I'm in frame. But being in frame and being in focus are extremely important for YouTube videos. I've had to learn the hard way, and it has taken a really long time to you know, get all the settings and everything right on my camera. I have a Samsung Galaxy S9. The camera is really, really good. I've finally gotten the settings just the way I like them. So I'm not, you know, I'm totally happy, not looking for another camera. All right, number 6, how do you figure pricing? Oh my goodness. It's one of those questions that can help people and make people mad at the same time, because everybody has a different opinion, and their opinions are usually really strong about pricing. So I'm just going to give my personal opinion, and you can like it or hate it. Well, I don't even know exactly what to say. It's trial and error. I go with my gut. I go with my experience, what people have bought, how much they pay for it. Sometimes you have to just try. You don't want to price them too high, because then people, you know, they won't buy it. If you price it too low, then you are not, you're working for pennies, and you're going to burn yourself out. So I do tend to be lower than quite a few people, just because, one, I try to keep my costs down as low as possible, and two, I want people to afford what I do. To me, I don't want just the elite who can afford it to be able to get my stuff. I want most people to be able to buy things from my shop, and that's just me personally. I do think people who do have really high prices on what they make, that's wonderful, and I'm not saying I'll never raise my prices or I'll never be there. I don't know how business works, or, you know, is going to work in the future. But overall, I found a pretty sweet spot where people seem pretty happy with my prices. There's no way I can tell you what to charge. You definitely can charge more if you're selling a lot and you have a lot of people who are following you. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people who make work better than gorgeous work, incredible work, and they can't sell their journals. They price them high, and they're probably worth that, but they have a hard time selling their journals or their supplies, because there's not a whole lot of people seeing them. And the more people you have seeing them, like the more subscribers I have on my channel, the more people see the products, the more likely they are to buy. So that's my short answer on that one. Number 7, how to write a note explaining a junk journal when you give it as a gift. I don't know. I've never done that. I have thought about doing that. I think just a simple explanation of it's a handmade journal. I think a lot of times saying handmade journal instead of junk journal, I think a lot of times people just intuitively understand that better. It's a journal that is handmade. When you say junk journal, it's like, what are you talking about? When you say I make handmade, custom order journals, I think people get that a little bit better, because we're not really putting, I mean, yes, we might put junk in it, but most of us, it's not 100% junk. We use digital kits, we use scrapbook paper, stuff like that, and people just get confused by the word junk. So if you're writing a very simple note or a simple explanation, I think I would just say that it is a custom handmade journal. You know, it's a piece of art. It's beautiful. It invites you to write on the page and to add your own memories to it. I think that should be most of the journals. I understand journals that are pretty much 100% pure art that you wouldn't want to touch or you wouldn't want to write in. However, I try to make my journals very user-friendly. I like people to be able, when they pick up my journal, they're inspired to write. When they pick up my journal, they want to glue things in it. They want to make it their own. I think that's just, you know, kind of the direction I've gone. But I really, really like the flip throughs of the people who do beautiful artistic journals. And I mean, like Nick the Booksmith, she can do both. She could do a journal that you just can't wait to take a pen to, and then she can do a journal that tells an incredible story, and like you would put it on a shelf and never use it. I remember bidding on her Sherlock Holmes journal. I named my son after Watson, so I remember bidding on that. I did lose the bid. I was close, but that would have gone on my shelf and been a family heirloom forever if I had won it. But so there's things like that. But I've also seen videos of people, and I'm not naming names because I don't even remember names, so I'm not picking on anybody, but I have seen journals by different people where they have stuffed it with so many pages and so much stuff that you can't even hardly open the journal to see what they've done. You have to like, oh, and here I'm going to flip the page and I can barely, to me, what is the point of that? I mean, you can't even appreciate it. So I think that if you're going to stuff it full, give it room, like give it room to be itself. Don't, you know, don't so overstuff it that you can't even flip a page. That's just my opinion. I probably got off topic there. All right, last question. What are the different sizes of journals, traveler's notebooks, and other writing sizes? All right, so the answer is any size you want it to be, but my main sizes that I do are 9x6, which I have evolved to be slightly smaller. So it's almost 9 by almost 6. I just take off a hair off of each side. So it's more like 8.75 by 5.75 inches, maybe slightly bigger than that. And that's just because I used to do the full 9x6 cover, which fits an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. It fits this signature in it perfectly without having to trim or cut anything. But it does have quite an overhang on the cover, and that can tend to get crushed. So I usually just take a tiny, tiny bit off. So that's one of my main sizes. A standard traveler's notebook, I'll do 4.25 by 8.25 inches to fit inside a standard traveler's notebook cover. Another one, a 5x7, 5x8, 4x4, 3x3, 4x6, 3.5 by 5.5. Those are all of my common sizes, but I have seen other sizes, and there's some other ones I really want to try. So there's no really right or wrong answer to that. It's whatever you like. And sometimes I just go by the scraps of paper I have. If I'm trying to use up scraps of paper, I'm like, okay, what size cover would this fit? And then I just kind of make it custom off of that. So I really hope that you enjoyed this question and answer. I'll have to do it again sometime. These are questions from you guys. I really, appreciate that you wanted to ask me these questions. I hope that they gave you a few things to think about. And I hope that you enjoyed watching me prep this kit. I hope to make a journal with it sometime in the near future. But like I said, you can purchase it as well. It's called Lavender and Lace. And look at these date cards. I love them so much. And really thanks to Pixel Scrapper, because Marissa Loren, who is one of the designers over there, has given me access to all of her files. And this is one of hers, I'm pretty sure. You get most of her stuff. There's a few other ones, but this is one of hers, and I love it. And so I added the stitching, which also came from Pixel Scrapper, and I added this flower, which also came from Pixel Scrapper. So if you have not checked out pixelscrapper.com, do that now. You don't have to pay anything. It's free, commercial use and personal use. And you can even use them to make digitals. You don't even have to really attribute them, which is, nice when you're dealing with a lot of different digitals and trying to keep everything straight. I would say, though, that you only get 5 free downloads a day. So if you want more than that, then you would want to upgrade. But you do get 5 free downloads a day. So you want to take advantage of that because there's thousands and thousands of images. So I think I've talked enough. This video is almost 20 minutes long, and I have prepped a journal kit while I chatted with all of you. I hope that you have a lovely, lovely day.